a young woman who hasn't been tainted by a lot of men, not just body count. I'm saying,
tainted.
I think this is a certain red pill says this, but young women tend to come with less baggage.
Do you think that's true or not?
Oh, because you described one that I do agree with the wants to go to parties, wants to get brought around the world by, yeah.
But how about this? Like, can I ask you a question? So you said you're 36, right?
Yes.
Do you have more baggage now than you did at 18?
Of course. Life provides baggage, yeah.
The longer you live, the more experiences you've had, good and bad.
Exactly. But what is that in a man saying, I don't want a woman because she does? To me,
she doesn't have baggage. What's wrong? What would be wrong with that if that's a man's standard? I want a woman with as little baggage as possible. What is actually wrong with wanting somebody who doesn't have baggage or who has less of it?
And also,
wait, let's.
Because if shit gets hard, do you think you're truly capable of leading her through the...
I think that there's the opposite. I think the more wounds you've inflicted, honestly, I think in some situations, not all, sometimes you can get thicker skin, sometimes you can develop more of a resolve. I actually think the more wounds you have, I think it makes you more susceptible to a subsequent wound. So, like, if you've been punched in the face, this happens with MMA fighters. If they start getting a bunch of scar tissue, they become much more likely to bleed from that location had there not been any scar tissue at all. And so you see this often with fighters. Their scar tissue just opens up super easily. They just whole face super bloodied up. I don't know if that's a perfect one-to-one comparison, but like this idea that, oh, as a woman, I've been through so much shit, so much trauma, so much baggage. I don't think a lot of people heal. Like, I think you have trust issues now. You're going to be moving in a certain type of way. Are you going to be able to love me as deeply? Are you kind of on guard? Are you reserved? Are you holding something back? I think most people, their first love probably going to, not always, but like you're a little bit more on guard after you've dealt with a bunch of different situations.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. When you say you want a woman, you think women should be able to explore their own ideas, develop emotionally, that also endures negativity that comes with that. So it's a catch-22 in a sense, because now you have this woman, if this woman has experienced life, she's traveled, she's developed her own identity, she's got some scars from doing that, and that's less attractive to a man. That's essentially what he's saying. Some men might appreciate it. They might can endure it, but if a guy prefers a younger woman, it's typically because her impressionability is to his advantage. It means that she hasn't endured some of the things that would make her relationship habits more pernicious. You get what I'm saying?
I do. So the issue that's coming up in me with this is women are kind of raised, especially if the father was in their life, to want to go after and live a full life. So now you're telling women, no, you should have only your sole focus be about getting a man.
That's not what we're saying.
Yeah, we're not saying
we're having
that.
a discussion about age gap relationships. You have objections to age gap relationships. You think it's predatory.
But if she doesn't do that
grooming.
in her 20s, then she has a lot of baggage, and then men don't want her. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Did not say that whatsoever, but let me ask you a question. When you were younger, did you date older men?
No.
You've never had an age gap relationship?
No. No. I was raised with a mother who is 7 years older than her father, and they're still together.
Okay.
So I had a very different, yeah.
So you've always dated guys who are like 1 or 2 years, like around you, pretty much, or?
Yeah. I have dated
fine.
younger.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, but usually close in age. I appreciate the commonality in a lot of things.
I want to get a question for the whole panel on the age gap relationship things. Who here is like fine with age gap relationships, or who here thinks it's predatory grooming? Predatory or grooming. Let me put an or in there.
I'm on both.
You got to speak into the mic.
I'm on both ends.
What does that mean?
Meaning, like, I myself have had age gaps, and I think women mature sooner than men, but I also think, like, who do women have baggage from? Like, a lot of times it's men doing certain things or toxic behavior, and they just stick through it out of love.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't take accountability for what they've done to that woman, and then they move on to someone who's more likely to be naive or more likely to just take it because she's still kind of coming out of that Disney fairy tale, haven't like had my heart broken or had a lot of trauma, so I'm more hopeful, I'm more willing, and then she'll put up with his behavior, and then the cycle repeats where she then gets older and has baggage, and then they go for someone that's younger. And I think I don't have like a problem with age gap. Like, I have friends that have age gap, and like I've had it myself as well. But I do think that a man's inability to stay by a woman like long term and not just go for someone younger and then someone younger is
men's inability. Didn't you ended it with your 10-year relationship, didn't you?
Yes.
Oh, so wouldn't that indicate your inability to stay with somebody long term?
He was younger than me.
So you were in a relationship with him?
Well, I'm just talking about in general.
Yeah, but like, women overwhelmingly end relationships and initiate divorces. So this idea that men are like throwing you guys out, I don't really think that's the case. I think you guys overwhelmingly end relationships.
Yeah.
And I mean, we can go around the table, but I'd be pretty confident to say most of you guys probably say, "Oh, I ended it."
Yes.
Okay, but so what? How would that be evidence then of? How would that be evidence of men just like discarding women when it's women who like, you guys like to say
just
one
because
thing.
like
One
a
thing.
woman
Hold on.
leaves doesn't mean that like he hasn't done damage to
Oh,
her.
sure, I agree. Like the man could be physically violent and
Just
you
because
leave
like
him.
he doesn't,
That's totally
she doesn't,
justified.
like, yeah.
But I think those instances tend to be. I mean, some women have like some sort of attraction to like abusive, toxic men.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of the responsibility on that is on women for like intentionally picking, like going after like toxic jerks who are abusive.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you should be abusive to begin with, but like, if you're attracted to that kind of guy, don't be surprised when you actually end up getting abused.
True.
But this idea that men are commitment phobic, it's interesting to me. So I don't really think men are scared of commitment. I think, and perhaps even if they are, there's some degree of justification for their fear of commitment, because when you guys do get commitment as women, you overwhelmingly end the commitment. So who's actually scared of commitment? 80% of divorces initiated by women. If you were just talking about like relationships and breakups, I've had a lot of women on the show. Overwhelmingly, they say, "Oh, I broke up with like most of my boyfriends."
May I share?
mean,
It's because it's the young women. That's what I was just
What do you
saying.
mean? What? Hold on. What does
Because
that?
a woman, if she's dating someone, she's not fully knowing what she's wanting in life. She doesn't have her own inner compass, and she has a man come in, and things don't feel good for her. It sucks, and I feel for men in this. I genuinely feel for men in this.
Mm-hmm.
But he's leading them into a vision of "you're my forever," where she's waffling because she's like, "Oh, but I'm looking at other men, or I want to do this thing, or I want to explore doing." That's what I was literally talking about. Those women did that because they all married in their early 20s. He was, I don't know how much older he was.
I mean,
She belongs to the streets.
if she's thinking that and she's in a relationship with a good dude, back to the
shouldn't be in a
streets.